Next, we'd like to get into the actual candidates forum. The speaking order for today's event was determined by a random draw at the start of the meeting. Each candidate will have 3 minutes to address the audience. We've asked all of the candidates to plan to stay a little longer after the presentation so that you can ask them additional questions if you'd like. So if you'd hold your questions, I would greatly appreciate it. First, we'd like to have Colleen Swedick come from the I'm a list here. Medina County Commissioners.
Thank you. Hello, I drew lucky number 1. Hello, my name is Colleen Swedick. My husband Jack and I have lived in Medina County for over 30 years, and I am running for County Commissioner. I personally believe the most important duty of any Medina County Commissioner is to take the taxpayers' dollars and effectively use them to serve the community. Sometimes you have to make some very tough choices. Sometimes you have to make some choices that keep you up at night. I'm here to tell you today on how I've prepared myself to serve Medina County as Commissioner. In the 80s, I graduated from Baldwin Wallace College with a major in finance. I have a Master's of Science in Integrated Social Studies and Education. Out of college, I was recruited by National City Bank for their management training program, and I spent my early career in banking. For 13 years, I was Hinckley Township's fiscal officer, where I managed their money using very, very fiscally conservative principles. During my tenure there, we managed to build 3 buildings, including a fire department and a service department building, and we paid cash. We asked the taxpayers for no levies. We saved, we planned for years, and we were able to build all those buildings and write checks for them. For the past 12 years, I have been the Medina County Recorder, and during my tenure there, the office has been completely upgraded. We have our documents online now. We have a new searchable website. We do electronic recording, which accounts for about 33% of our business now. We take credit cards. We offer the veterans IDs. And over the 12 years, we have managed to update like that and still reduce costs of the department by over 30%. Now that isn't 30% for inflation, that is 30% actual appropriated dollars cheaper the department than it was 12 years ago. So I'd like to take the skills, experience, and education that I've had in my career and my formal education to the commissioner's position. I'm so excited about this opportunity. I am part of what is known as the Facilities Commission. We've a commission that was formed about a year ago by Commissioner Bull Hudson, and we are looking to completely revamp the buildings in Medina County, which many of them are not ADA compliant completely, don't have 21st century security. So during my years as an elected official, and I've been an elected official for 15 years, I always remember that I am responsible for spending other people's money. Yours. And I pledge today to take that responsibility very, very seriously, and I ask for your vote on November 6th. Thank you so much.
Next, I'd like to introduce Ken Harbaugh, candidate for the 7th District, U.S. Representative.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you, Greater Medina Chamber of Commerce, and Cheryl at Older, Wiser Life Services. Where did Byron go? Byron from Title Boxing. Although I got to be honest, when I saw Title Boxing as one of the sponsors for the Meet the Candidates lunch, I got a little nervous. Anne Marie, my wife, is here with me today. She reminded me on the way in that in the late 80s, early 90s, I think I'm dating us, babe. She owned this stage as a member of the Medina High School show choir with a Guys and Dolls number that brought down the house. So the bar is pretty high. I'm expecting a standing ovation. I honestly never imagined that I would be doing this, that I would be running for U.S. Congress. When I joined the Navy as a 22-year-old kid, I raised my right hand, I swore an oath to the Constitution, and politics did not enter into it. When I was flying missions over the Middle East, off of North Korea, off of China, and off of Russia. We worked as a team to get the job done. We put the mission first, and we set politics aside. I got out of the Navy, we moved back home, started a family, kids baptized right down the road at St. Francis. And I wound up leading a disaster relief organization, Team Rubicon Global, that has retrained now 50,000 military veterans to deploy around the world to some of the toughest disasters you've ever heard of, and a lot that you haven't heard of. We've got gray shirts, that's what we call our Team Rubicon members, on the ground right now in the Carolinas, still helping Houstonians recover from Hurricane Harvey, in Puerto Rico, recovering from Hurricane Maria. And I guarantee you, as those military vets retrained to be disaster responders are pulling fellow American citizens off of the roofs of their two-story houses in the Carolinas, they're not asking anybody who they voted for. They're not asking anybody their politics. I think we got to get back to that in our politics if we're going to move the ball, if we're going to get things done. It is as fundamental as that oath of office I swore as a 22-year-old, which I think we need to remind Congress sometimes is not an oath to a party. These party line votes are by definition not representative when you think about the people you're really working for. That oath to the Constitution is an oath ultimately to all of you, because the first three words are "we the people." That oath to the Constitution, if it's really lived up to, I think is the engine that's going to get things done. On one of my last missions in the Navy, off in North Korea, I lost an engine. And in that moment, I didn't turn to my co-pilot and say, "Are you a Republican or a Democrat?" We put the engine to bed. We actually, thank you. We put that engine to bed. We actually finished the mission. We landed the plane, and we saved the crew. When I was helping deliver a baby on two school desks shoved together in the aftermath of the strongest typhoon in recorded human history, I didn't go around the table and ask folks their politics. We were there as veterans trained to solve problems in the toughest environments imaginable. We were there to get a job done. If we can send a new generation of leaders to Washington who take that to heart, who remember that oath of office to you, to we the people, not to a party, not to an individual, I think that is our hope. That is the future. And when I'm out on doors and we're knocking between 4,000 and 5,000 every weekend as a team, when I'm holding town halls across the district, I have that hope restored. America remains a self-correcting democracy. Believe it, it's real. Thank you.
Next, I'd like to introduce Anthony Gonzalez, candidate for the 16th District U.S. Representative.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you to the Chamber for putting this incredible event on, and thank you to everybody in the audience. Obviously, it's critical to inform yourself about the choices that you all face, and just can't really be more grateful for this incredible opportunity. So whenever I speak and I talk to people about what I'm doing, the number one question I get is, why on earth are you doing this? And it's a great question, and in some respects, it's sort of a backhanded compliment. In one sense, it's, seems like you could be doing other things. You've done other things in your life. Why would you sign up for this? And then the second is, are you insane? Our politics is as nasty and as difficult as it's ever been. And that's true. But for me, the answer is very simple. It starts with and ends with a deep love and appreciation for Northeast Ohio and our great country. My father immigrated here from Cuba in 1960. He had to escape the communist Castro regime under very difficult circumstances. This community welcomed him. In 1983, the year before I was born, he opened up his first steel plant, still there today on the west side of Cleveland. Growing up working inside of that business, I first got a real taste of just how important a strong economic environment is, a robust manufacturing sector, and the prosperity that it allows families to have here in Northeast Ohio. Put food on your table, take care of your kids. After graduating from St. Ignatius High School, it was off to Ohio State for me. I was fortunate to earn a scholarship to play for one of my heroes, the great Jim Tressel. It was here that I first got a taste of just how special it is to have an opportunity to represent the great state of Ohio. I knew that I would always come to this day, that I would always come back to serve our community, but I needed more skills. I needed more time. And so after 5 years in the NFL, I was off to Stanford Business School. After that, I ran a business of my own, learning everything I could about how to build a business and the difficulties that some of our government regulations and policies have on those of us in this community who are doing everything we can to build our families. I'm somebody who believes that our best days are ahead of us, but it's going to take every single person in this room. It's going to take the folks who are building businesses to do all the great work that you do. It's going to take everybody from all levels of government to prioritize Northeast Ohio. This is about our community. This is about how we build an economy going forward. For me, my job, while you're doing all the great work here, my job is to make your life easier. My job is to give you the tools you need to build a successful business, to run a successful family. I believe that's 3 things critically. Number 1, we need the best and most talented workforce in the country. We have to fix our education system. 2, we have to reform our trade deals. Manufacturing needs to exist. It needs to be robust in Northeast Ohio. And 3, we need to bring the cost of health care way down for every American. Nobody has been spared from these rising health care costs. Thank you, and I'd appreciate your vote. Thank you.
Next, I'd like to introduce Judge Jennifer Hensel, candidate 9th District Court of Appeals.
Good afternoon, and thank you for having me. Thank you to the Chamber to inviting your judges and judicial candidates today. So I'm the first judge to speak today, so prepared to be riveted for the next 3 minutes. Yeah, that's what I usually get. I am a judge of the 9th District Court of Appeals. You have 5 judges on the 9th District Court of Appeals. There are 12 appellate districts in the state. Our district goes strictly by party lines because the cases we hear from the trial courts come from those counties that we represent. The 9th District covers all of Medina, Lorain, Wayne, and Summit counties. When we hear cases that come from any of those counties, we sit and hear those cases in the county where the case originated from. 3 judges sit on every panel in every single case, and they determine whether or not there is reversible error. They determine whether or not someone was given their due process. We handle in the 9th District per judge more cases than just about any other district in the entire state. Occasionally the 5th District has pretty equal to it, but that means we have a lot of volume, so we have a lot to do, a lot of work to do. In addition to getting our work done, and we don't get out much, trust me, we're very cloistered in there, so it's so nice to see all these wonderful faces. In addition to that, however, we get out, we do courtrooms in the classrooms, we speak to civic groups, we teach legal education courses. We have our oral arguments on YouTube, so if anybody wants to watch a half hour of oral argument on any given case, you can see that. A little bit about me in the next minute or so. I am a Medina County native. I currently reside in Medina County. I was the president of the Medina County Bar Association years ago, and also the chair of the Character and Fitness Committee that young applicants for the bar would come and go through the process to see if they could sit for the bar exam. I served as assistant prosecutor in many Medina County communities and the assistant director of law in the city of Wadsworth. I have served as presiding judge and administrative judge at the Court of Appeals. I received a rating of excellent, the highest available from my peers in Summit County for my time on the bench. I must say that other than, of course, I would like your vote for 9th District Court of Appeals, please vote in your judicial races. It's extremely important to the country. It's extremely important to your community. Thank you for your time.
Next, I'd like to introduce Carol Carter, candidate for the Medina County Commissioner.
Thank you for the opportunity. As he said, I am mayor of the Village of Seville. I am the highest ranking law officer at our Village of Seville. I don't carry a gun, but I do carry the radio. My chief gave me a radio and said I'm only allowed to have it if I don't push the button. Well, I haven't pushed the button yet, so he hasn't taken it away. I have had to make tough decisions. I am responsible for the fiscal shape of our village, and I am proud to say that 10 years ago, our village wasn't in very good shape. And thanks to Keith Durham, who took the invitation to come to the village, set and put our village on a 5-year budget plan. And to this day, that plan is still in operation. When I became mayor in 2010, the previous administration left us under $100,000 to work with. I am proud to say that within a few years, we were at $500,000 carryover, and that is still there today. I am the administrator to our Seville Chamber of Commerce. I am very involved with our economic development. I sit on the task force for the county committee, and I truly believe an elected official is to be a public servant. We are to be out there no matter what party you are, no matter what your beliefs are. You all have an opinion as well as I do. And with age, I have learned not to dig my heels in so deep. I have learned that I have an opinion. My job is to coach up other people's opinions. It's the difference of opinions that makes this world and our decisions the better opinions. I believe in public comment. I am very concerned that the commissioners took away that you have to call in on Friday to talk on Tuesday. That's not how it works. We have Robert's Rule of Order. We have a gavel. We have the word respect. And if someone's speaking, even though they get passionate and maybe disrespectful, we can calm them down or ask them to sit. We have public comment, privilege of the floor at the Village of Seville. Sometimes it's at both places of our agendas, but we are there to serve the people. And there's lots of things we don't like, but we need to sit back, use our ears for something other than my hats and my glasses, and listen. It upsets me when I go and public officials are giving eye looks and body language, which, believe you me, I've been kicked under the table at some of my meetings by the fiscal officer because he sees the body language oozing a little bit. But it's our job to serve, and that's what this mayor, this woman believes. Step up or shut up, and I'm a woman who is not ready to shut up. So hopefully on November 6th, you'll remember that. Carter for commissioner. Thank you.
Next, I'd like to introduce Susan Moran Palmer, candidate 16th District, U.S. Representative.
Good evening. Thank you to the Medina County Chamber of Commerce. I appreciate the invitation. It is great to be back here again. My background, I grew up in Youngstown, not too far away, actually, Canfield. And when I graduated high school in 1982, our unemployment rate was 22%. When you grow up in that environment, you really learn how to climb the ladder, how to come up that economic ladder that we all have depended on growing up. When I turn around and look now, that economic ladder's not there anymore for the kids coming up behind me. I got a bump in my ACT scholarship because I had a high score and the federal government gave me a bump for my college education. At that time, the state of Ohio subsidized college education almost at 70% for every graduate in the state of Ohio. We are down at about 16 to 17% now. The opportunities I was afforded coming out of the Youngstown environment and growing up in the general Ohio area, the children behind me don't have, and these aren't happenstance. You know, your increases in healthcare and your increases in college costs are not happenstance. These are policy choices. We have people choosing policies that have reduced the funding for college education in our state, for education in general in the federal government, and us also with healthcare. These are choices that we have chosen to make. These policies affect us all, and I'm talking to a business community, right? So you're having trouble finding educated people, you're having trouble finding people who have skilled trades, you're having trouble finding people who are healthy. I hear it a lot in Medina County. I can't have someone pass your analysis test. We have an opioid addiction problem in this state. We have now overtaken the #1 position in the country for opioid deaths. That is beyond unacceptable. This is treatable, and part of that is the healthcare crisis in this country. The Medicaid expansion in Ohio covers over 850,000 Ohioans. Together with Medicaid, that's 2.5 million Ohioans that are working, poor, and qualify for these programs. If we remove the Medicaid expansion by repealing Obamacare or the ACA, whichever way you like to refer to it, we will be serving the death sentence to many people in Ohio. The average addiction rate readmission is 3 times before you can beat that addiction. These are Ohio lives. Portage County, it's half of their death rate is opioid addiction deaths, and it's all over the income scales, CEOs all the way down. We must address the healthcare crisis in this country, and that is my area of expertise. I've worked in healthcare for 30 years. I've worked for huge Fortune 500 companies, 2 medical startup companies, provided patient care directly, and I owned and operated my own medical consulting firm here in the district. All of it was here in the district. You are my community. I am part of your fabric, and I ask for your vote for the 16th Congressional District. Thank you.
Next, I'd like to introduce Steve Johnson, candidate 70th District State Representative.
Thank you to the Chamber, and thank you for attending today. The 70th District has western Medina County, most of Brunswick, all of Ashland County, and northwestern Holmes County. So if you don't live in the 70th, you've got my permission to tune me out. But if you do live in the 70th, hopefully you pay attention a little bit. Regardless of where we live, we're fortunate to live in this country. This country didn't achieve greatness by luck. It didn't achieve greatness by bragging. It achieved greatness because our forefathers worked hard, they worked smart, and they cared and they dared to make this country a better place to live, to work, and raise a family. That's our challenge. That's my challenge. That's why I'm running. I want Ohio to be a better place for all Ohioans. I've been blessed. I had wonderful parents, got an awesome wife. Got an awesome wife, she likes me to say that twice. I got a good education in public schools in Columbus and Gahanna. I got a degree in finance from The Ohio State University, and I've had great jobs. For the last 14 years, I've been treasurer of a company, the largest manufacturing company in Ashland County. We've got 700 jobs, 150 of them created in the last several years, and we're damn proud that our product is made in the USA. I've been blessed, and I want to give back. And the way I want to do that is to put it out there for the people of Ohio and for this district. I will do my darndest to make this a better place to work and to live and to raise a family. If I'm elected, I will work hard for lower taxes for Ohioans that receive a paycheck and a pension. I will work hard for fairer taxes. I will work hard for all Ohioans to have access to affordable health care, and that means retaining the Medicaid expansion. I will work hard for more funding for education so that we can have better schools and lower college tuition. Ohio is not going to get long-term growth if we shortchange education. And I'll use my education and experience to get better jobs for Ohio. What we're doing now isn't working, and it's not going to work. A different approach is required. And I think my experience as a financial person at a large manufacturing company will pay benefits there. I know business, I know how jobs are created, and I want to make this a better place for all Ohioans. I hope I have your support. Thank you very much.
Next, I'd like to introduce Diana Colavecchio, candidate 9th District Court of Appeals.
Good afternoon, fellow chamber members, and thank you for your time and attentiveness here today. As a judicial candidate, I truly appreciate the outreach and the approach that you take to getting your candidates before everyone who's going to be voting in November. As it goes, judicial candidates have a 50% drop-off rate on the ballot because we're at the bottom, so we greatly appreciate this kind of forum. I'm Diana Colavecchio. I'm the other judicial candidate for the 9th District Court of Appeals. And Judge Hensel already very aptly described for you about the Court of Appeals and how it functions and the fact that it's in Akron but also does cover your county. What I would like to add is one more thing, and that is this. It is a very important court. What I've been getting from people on the campaign trail since February is the question, why should I care about the Court of Appeals? How does it affect my life? Well, the fact is that it is our local Supreme Court. Court of Appeals is only one step below the Ohio Supreme Court. And I would imagine everyone in this room understands that the Ohio Supreme Court is the highest court in our state. So the Court of Appeals is just directly below that. The Ohio Supreme Court, though, does not have to accept every case that is appealed to it. It has discretion to accept what it wants to and what it doesn't want to. And the fact is that it only takes a small fraction of cases. As a result, the most cases that are decided by the appeals court, not our Ohio Supreme Court. So the Ohio Supreme Court, while it's wonderful to have one, it seldom weighs in on and seldom is the final decider of cases. That happens at our local Supreme Court, the 9th District. I've been an attorney for almost 30 years. I've been a public servant for 12 years. I've been on City Council in Cuyahoga Falls, president of City Council, and I'm currently serving as the Municipal Court of Stowe's Clerk of Courts, where I've been there for almost 3 years. I believe that our court, as it goes, since it is the most important court in my view, needs to have a bit of a more connectivity to the community it serves. And that's what I've tried to do as clerk in my court, and I think that I would like to do that, if I can at all, express the same kind of views and connectivity to the Court of Appeals. And by that specifically I mean our court should be available, accessible, it should be connected to the business community and other government entities. Here's a couple examples of how I've done that in Stowe, in our municipal court. We launched electronic filing in our court a year and a half ago, and we actually have 1,000 users, big surprise to us. We thought we'd have about 200. Through that electronic filing process, we realized that pro se filers, people who want to file alone, who aren't represented, really need help. So we set up a help desk. That's creating the kind of access that I'm talking about. We've also partnered with the Attorney General's Office for Collections and increased our collections tenfold. So thank you for your time and attentiveness.
Next, I would like to introduce Congressman Bob Gibbs, candidate 7th District U.S. Representative.
Thank you. It's great to be back here in Williams-on-the-Lake. I used to be here a lot when I represented all of Medina County in the state Senate, but it's great to be back. I'm going to start out, since this is a chamber event, Chamber of Commerce event, with the United States Chamber of Commerce. I've gotten the Spirit of Enterprise Award from them every year. And there's a reason for that, because I support business policies. I have nearly 100% lifetime voting record with the U.S. Chamber of Commerce. But I support business policies that create an environment for businesses to grow and thrive and be able to hire more people and create a lot more jobs. And some of that results of that, this Congress, we've done some real common sense regulatory reform. And we also passed the largest tax cut reform bill that took effect January 1st of this year. And we're seeing some really good things come out of that. We have the lowest unemployment, almost on record. It's less than 4%. But when you look at the African American community, the Hispanic community, women, and teenagers, we have the lowest unemployment on record. We see an economy growing. The Atlanta Federal Reserve expected to grow more than 4.2% GDP growth this year. That's a big turnaround from what some people thought was the new norm of 1.5%. When you look at an $18.5 trillion economy, a couple of percentage points makes a big differences. And so we're seeing some really good things happen. Business confidence and consumer confidence is at a record high. And we got more people working. With nearly 4 million people are moved out of poverty in this last year. And there's a lot of jobs out there. We're seeing nearly a 3% increase in wages from a year ago. Revenues to the government is up almost 3%, even with the tax cuts, because more people are working, more people are paying FICA taxes, and it's growing good. We're rebuilding our military, we're taking care of our veterans, and there's challenges out there we need to do. And we just passed last week in the House another deal, tax reform 2.0, to make the individual rates permanent, like the corporate rates. Also, we talked a lot about the opioid epidemic in the CARE Act that we passed a couple of years ago. We put $1 billion out, and it's been going out to communities. Recently, earlier this year, in the One Omni, $3 billion is going out. When I've had roundtables with the stakeholders, we're seeing a lot of that money coming. And last week, in the last budget bill, $7 billion. So that's $11 billion that's coming out to fight the opioid epidemic. So we're making progress. We're on the right track. People are working. People feel good. Let's make sure we stay in that track. So God bless you all. Thank you.
Next, I'd like to introduce Judge Mary Kovac, candidate Court of Common Pleas, Domestic Relations.
Good afternoon, and thank you for having me. Another compelling judicial talk. I'll tell you a little bit about myself, and I apologize, I'm hoarse, but I take care of my 96-year-old mother, and I'm a petri dish for all of the germs that the caregivers bring in. I have 29 years of legal experience as a judicial attorney, assistant prosecuting attorney who enforced child support, a family law attorney, and I've been 18 years your domestic relations judge. In 2017, the Domestic Relations Court handled 4,006 cases. It's the biggest docket in the county. In my 18 years as a judge, I've completed more than 56,000 cases. So I think experience matters. I've been president of the Ohio Association of Domestic Relations Judges, president of the Medina County Bar Association quite a few years ago. I've been appointed by the Chief Justice to committees and commissions that deal with the civil rules of procedure, various domestic relations issues, as well as access to justice for self-represented litigants. I've also taught at the Ohio Judicial College, so I think leadership matters. I'm a citizenship merit badge, even currently, counselor for the Boy Scouts, and I've also done it for the Girl Scouts. I'm a former officer of the Band Parents Association here in Medina, and I'm a former tutor and board member of Project Learn. So I think community involvement also matters. I've developed many programs in partnership with local community organizations to help families to better build relationships, to help people without lawyers get through the court process, to allow children to have relationships with both parents in a safe space, and to give families the tools to resolve their differences before even walking into a courtroom. I sincerely believe that once people get into the courtroom, words matter. The things they say to each other and about each other can never be taken back, and it affects families forever. I'm very proud of our team at the courthouse and very much want to continue this important work for the community and the county. So I respectfully ask for your vote. Thank you.
Next, I'd like to introduce Representative Steve Hamley, candidate for the 69th District State Representative.
Good afternoon. Thank you very much. I greatly appreciate the Chamber putting this together for all the candidates. Many of you know me. I was a commissioner for 18 years, and my 4th year as a state representative. Been an honor to serve you, and I do ask for your vote to return down to Columbus. I can talk about a lot of the things that we've done as in our state General Assembly. We've cut taxes for every family and small business, about $5 billion over the last several years. We've created about helped create 500,000 new jobs. We have done also important reforms in charter schools. Also, we've tried to deal with the opiate epidemic. We've emphasize trying to provide more money and assistance from the state for prevention, education, treatment, enforcement, as well as, I think, compassion. Compassion and all those need to be done at all levels of government. We've increased state funding by $180 million to help in terms of addiction treatment so families can get help they need. Likewise, we had devoted $222 million in the capital budget for critical health and human services, $750,000 alone to Medina County for the Cleveland Clinic Children's Outpatient Therapy that helps impaired children that are born to drug-dependent parents. So we've done a lot, but obviously that requires continuing cooperation and working at all levels. We brought a considerable amount of resources back to Medina County. Through our capital grant program, we have $3 million that came back to the community for our parks, local historical societies, our healthcare facilities, and Medina Town Square. When I say we, it's just not me as a state representative, but also it means we're talking about the General Assembly, the Republican-controlled General Assembly. I'm asking you to help return and continue that Republican control and all the things that we've gained on it. And that just doesn't happen myself, but also Bob Gibbs, whenever he was a state senator and I was a commissioner, reminded me that as a commissioner, you're an executive and legislator, but actually it's the legislature works as a team. They work together. And when you're in the majority, you can get a whole lot more done, just as when he was a state senator as well as a representative. I take pride in working together. My fellow representative, Darrell Kick, as well as State Senator Larry Obhoff, who is the president of the Senate. And we've accomplished quite a bit. Of 18 bills that I have introduced, 10 are now law. And that doesn't happen just by me having some good ideas that come from the general public, come from the schools, come from individuals and parents concerned about protecting their children. This comes by bringing those ideas and working with Darrell Kick, working with Larry Obhoff, and getting the results that the people expect. We actually, out of those 18 bills, we hope another additional will be done by the end of this year, but they were all brought to us from local people. It was brought from those concerns, and we've dealt with them specifically. And I do have a list, thank you. I do have a list in the front. This is not a political document. This is actually my scorecard, legislative, and it's not asking you to vote for me, just tells you what's going on in terms of the record. So I ask you to consider the record, and I'd ask for your vote on November 6th. Thank you.
Next, I'd like to introduce Representative Darrell Kick, candidate 70th District State Representative.
Thank you, Chamber, for this opportunity, and all those in attendance. It's great to see you, some familiar faces, and meeting new ones. It's always good. A little bit about myself real quick. Come from Holmes County, down near Loudonville, the second largest municipality in all of Ashland County at around 3,000, so big town. But we enjoy it down there. I've got a wife and 5 children. My family is from Holmes County since 1834. I've never lived anywhere else. I know the area, and I was thrilled to have the opportunity to represent the area. I've done that in many different ways, whether it's school boards and other organizations around town, but also as a Farm Bureau County president. Did code and policy in Columbus anytime I could years previously, and also 6 years on the staff of Congressman Bob Gibbs, who you heard from a little bit ago. That time with him really shaped what I believe my future was, and that was to serve my district in a whole different way. With the federal side of it under my belt, I was able to jump right into the state side of things, and it was truly amazing to get down there and be a part of it in my first term. Steve already mentioned so many things that we've accomplished. There's still more to do. I agree with that 100%. There's times that when you really want to reach across the aisle and work together, and there's other times it's impossible to do so. So when people talk about always getting along, you do try. Both sides try, but it doesn't always work. But I feel like I'm a voice of reason down there, whether it's in my own party or when I reach across the aisle. The things that we've accomplished down there in the state that Steve went through, there's a few things that we haven't accomplished yet. And one of those things is the social networks that we have and all the problems with our social services, whether it's funding or better ways to support those staffs. My wife and I have been licensed foster parents. We've also taken in other children to help them get started even after they turned 18. And there's so many things down there that I see and hear, and if returning, I'm looking forward to the opportunity to work with whoever the governor is, as well as the state legislature, to improve our foster care situation, our JFS systems, and so many others that need our help to get those improvements. And with the drug epidemic the way it is, it's only getting worse. So I look forward to being a part of that. Truly appreciate the time that I've had to get to know Medina County a little better, even though I was up here a little bit years prior. Look forward to continuing that work up here with Steve and with so many others. God bless Medina County and District 70 and all the state of Ohio. Thank you.
Next, I'd like to introduce Heidi Carroll, candidate Court of Common Pleas, Domestic Relations.
I guess I'm your last speaker, so I will be brief, be funny, and be gone, right? Those are the 3 Bs. A little bit about myself. I am a lifelong resident of Medina County. I grew up here. I graduated Buckeye High School in 1993. I then went to college at Benedictine University. I received a molecular biology degree, Bachelor's of Science. I worked my way through law school. I attended Cleveland Marshall at night. I passed the bar in 2002. A little bit about my background and my work experience. I worked at the Cleveland Clinic as a compliance attorney, Akron General Hospital, and Ohio Guidestone. I also worked with Reminger Law Firm, and I have my own practice where I do divorce cases. So how do I go from a molecular biologist to wanting to be a domestic relations judge? Well, the one thing I have learned is problem solving, and when you see something is wrong, you have to improve it. And our domestic courts are in desperate need of improvement. The delays in justice is not appropriate for our children here in our county. Motions that are filed that are never heard. Emergency motions that are filed and never heard. Requesting people for mental health for a child, a motion is filed and never heard. As a county, what number do we think our back child support should be due to taxpayers and custodial parents? What appropriate number should that be? Today I stand here to tell you we are currently $48 million due in back child supports. That is to parents and taxpayers. This is a number that is not acceptable. I will work with the prosecutor in his Back on Track program, and I will help remove that barrier. I will enforce support orders. I will enforce visitation orders so parents can have time with their children and be provided for. Another thing is our dockets are not online. This is 2018. Transparency is necessary to have online dockets so people can file things in a timely manner from home, so people can have their rulings heard and their motions be seen. So online and transparency in the docket is critical for this mission as well. I thank you and I ask you for your support this November, and I hope that everyone will get out and vote. Thank you.
That concludes our candidates for today, and I wanted to thank all of them for taking the time to attend today's meeting, and I want to thank all of the attendees for taking the time to learn more about the candidates on the ballot. Again, if you have any questions, please feel free to see them after the meeting, and you can catch them in the room here. Also, please note that information for Restaurant Week, which is happening October 5th through the 20th, information can be found on both the Main Street Medina website and the Greater Medina Chamber of Commerce website. Now I'd like to just announce the winners of the title boxing drawing, it's Jenna Swanson and Bridget Richard. So if you see Byron at the end of the meeting, I'd greatly appreciate it. And then and for the Owls, it's Kimberly Simpson. If you would see Cheryl down here in the front, that would be great. That concludes our meeting, and please be safe and please remember to vote. Have a good day.